Mark Twain once said that history doesn't repeat itself, but sometimes it does rhyme. And there's an interesting partial rhyme that I want to share with you by describing another regime other than the current regime in Iran. It's the one that took power in January of 1933 in Germany. The principal figure, Adolf Hitler, had written in the 1920s in Mein Kampf of what his objectives were: to rule Germany, to kill the Jews, and to conquer Europe. And so we had Munich. And so we had Chamberlain return smiling and raising the peace agreement that had been reached at Munich, saying that this meant peace for our time, to applause, to general approbation, that what at the time was called appeasement did not have a negative connotation right yet. It meant in 1938 pretty much the same thing that engagement means now: talking seriously to your major adversary and hopefully reaching agreement with him. I mention that possible rhyme to point to a few parallels. Ahmadinejad and the Iranian regime today have some of the same characteristics that the Nazis did in the 1930s. The other phenomenon that is taking place is, of course, the Iranian nuclear weapons program. If you do not believe that it is a nuclear weapons program, I have a bridge in Brooklyn. I would be delighted to market to you. The worst and most irresponsible national intelligence estimate ever, several years ago, confused its headline with its footnote. Its headline was that Iran had stopped its nuclear program, nuclear weapons program. The footnote said, oh, by the way, it's still enriching uranium. The enrichment of uranium is the long pole in the tent in designing a nuclear weapon, or the reprocessing of the plutonium. That's what's hard. That's what takes time, not the design of the weapon. The claims that Iran makes in the course of its undertaking are quite parallel to the peaceful assurances that Hitler was giving in the 1930s as he built Stuka dive bombers and panzers, that these are for peaceful purposes. Yes, of course they were. And, of course, Iran's intention is merely to have enriched uranium for its nuclear power plants. It is amazing to me the degree to which sensible people in different parts of the world have fallen prey to that nonsense time and time and time again over the course of the last number of years. Well, in addition to parallels in diplomacy and weapons buildup, there are some rhymes with respect, of course, to Ahmadinejad's and the Iranian regime's treatment of Jews and treatment of dissidents, treatment of Democrats, those who want a decent Iran, a decent Iranian government of all stripes. And certainly it has now come time for us to take a very fresh look at the way we are dealing with Iran. It would be, I think, excellent if there were factions within this Iranian regime that one could work with. But I greatly fear that that horse long ago left the barn, that it was not the case in 1997 when a nod was made to a new Iranian prime minister that people had some hopes might be a moderate. I don't think it was the case then, and it certainly is not the case now. Those who depart from Ahmadinejad's and the Revolutionary Guards and the Basij's thinking are sought out and killed as quickly as possible. And the chance of there being someone on the inside that we can work with, inside the regime itself, is, I think, slim to the point of vanishing. Once a negotiation gets going, just as to a hammer a lot of things that aren't nails look like a nail, to a diplomat, and I've been one, quite frequently, a lot of things which aren't really opportunities to settle something look like opportunities to have negotiations and write reporting cables. And although one can talk